So I'm going to jump in. And I also was very surprised when actually you first mentioned this talk happening and that you said it would be about rape culture. And I saw right away that some of the comments were actually saying that there is not such a thing, that it is an exaggeration, that we're making too much of a deal, that we're not really promoting rape. And so what I wanted, and of course, those comments actually came from men. And I was happy at least they were engaging in the discussion. And I was also happy to be able to answer and to have two other voices with me tonight to answer that question. Because I think that in order to understand what we can do and what kind of responsibility we have to make the world and our society safer for everyone, we first need to name things and not to be afraid of naming things. And rape culture is a very loaded, heavy expression. It's a very heavy sentence, and I understand why it triggers some people. But rape culture is not only about, hey, let's go rape people. It's about all those little things that are part of patriarchy, that are defining very restrictive gender roles, both for men and for women, while looking at LGBTQ people as anomalies. That's rape culture. And according to these gender roles, women have to be submissive. Women are objectified. Women are sexual objects. And their voice is less important than the voice of men. And we see that in every video clip made in the 90s and about 50% of the video clips made today. We even see it, there was a new campaign for the clothes brand Castro in Israel for children just a couple of days ago. The little boy was standing and the camera was at eye level. He was fully dressed and he looked fierce. The little girl was lying down on the floor with mini shorts, and she had to look up to the camera. Those tiny little things on how we present ourselves, how we present boys and girls, and what role models we offer in pop culture, that's rape culture. It's about criticizing a woman because she's owning her sexuality and saying bravo to a man because he had so many sexual partners. So it's everything that leads to rape. It's not only rape. It's all those sentences using the word whore as a klala, an insult. It's the way we tell a girl to not be a teaser, to not be a slut. It's the way we encourage men to make sexist jokes. It's all those little things that we don't realize are actually leading to rape that we are calling rape culture, in my opinion. And I'm very happy to hear the other voices.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciated your perspective, and I think that you really nailed this issue, because as somebody who grew up in a society where I was totally unaware, it was such a strong patriarchy. I grew up in an Orthodox setting. I grew up in the 60s in an Orthodox family. I was entirely unaware of how devastating the effects of all those tiny little pieces are on me. And it was only, this is going to sound really crazy, but it was only when Me Too happened that I really fully woke up, and I really fully understood how devastating all of the conditioning I grew up with was on me as a person, on my voice. So I think that I'm glad that you pointed out that the word rape culture often is what gets that shock, and that's why, I know why it sort of creates that reaction, certainly in men. But I think it's important for women to be able to share with people who don't agree that there's rape culture, all those nuanced, tiny, little, small pieces that, when you're done, create a really difficult society for women to live in. So thank you.
For me, rape culture is just the normalization of rape. It's, for instance, even someone very close to me, my older brother, said something that was shocking to me not too long ago, that Like if a woman is wearing short clothes or provocative clothing, it's something that like it makes sense that she would get raped. And then I said, okay, imagine me in that space. Imagine your sister wearing short shorts and the man who raped her said, but she was wearing short shorts. Would you still feel that way? And that made him understand in a different way that it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. And I'm part of the Free the Nipple movement. I feel very empowered being naked. So it can be very triggering for me when someone says that by sharing my human flesh, my naked skin, that's me asking for sexual energy from someone. It's just blatantly not true. Unless I straight up say, sorry,
when a man is walking around like shirtless, nobody's saying that he's teasing us for us to touch him or like to give him some sexual attention.
Exactly. And I believe until the 1912, somewhere around that time, men weren't allowed to show their nipples either. They had to wear shirts to the beach as well. And then they just decided not to anymore. And it became the norm. And it wasn't as a sensitive of a topic. And I think that the only way to make the change is if we just start embodying what it means to be a woman for us. But I think what's really important is that we have the support of our brothers during that time. It's very important that the men in our lives, the men in the world, support women in expressing themselves as being women and whatever that means to them.
I'm with you. I echo all of that. Maybe one thing I would add, Sarah, you mentioned the post that I made, and some people denied rape culture existing, and their claim was rape culture doesn't exist because by and large society is against rape. It's illegal. It's frowned upon. And, being a rapist might have a worse stigma to being a murderer. So in a sense, there's a truth there, but there's a contradiction in society, because in one hand it's illegal and frowned upon, but then there's all these little elements of society, how women are depicted in TV, how men are depicted in TV, what a manly man is meant to be, all these things that act as a precursor to what is then sexual abuse and rape. And it really comes down to men not viewing women as equal beings. They view them as sexual objects. And when you don't view someone as an equal being, it becomes much easier to then harm them. And I think that's really where a lot of it comes from.